You're a strong opponent of same-sex marriage. What do you think of the law that was just passed in New York State, making it the biggest state to recognize same-sex marriage?
Well, I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. And I also believe in Minnesota, for instance, this year, the legislature put on the ballot for people to vote in 2012 whether the people want to vote on the definition of marriage as one man, one woman. In New York State, they have passed the law at the state legislative level, and under the 10th Amendment, the states have the right to set the laws that they want to set.
So even though you oppose it, then it's okay, from your point of view, for New York to say that same-sex marriage is legal?
That is up to the people of New York. I think that it's best to allow the people to decide on this issue. I think it's best if there's an amendment that goes on the ballot where the people can weigh in. Every time this issue has gone on the ballot, the people have voted to retain the traditional definition of marriage as recently as California in 2008.
But you would agree, if it's passed by the state legislature and signed by the governor, then that's a state's decision.
It's state law. And the 10th Amendment reserves to the states that right.
All right. I want to follow up on that because I'm confused by your position on this. Here's what you said in the New Hampshire debate. Let's put it up.
I do support a constitutional amendment on marriage between a man and a woman, but I would not be going into the states to overturn their state law.
That's why I'm confused. If you support state rights, why do you also support a constitutional amendment which would prevent any state from recognizing same-sex marriage?
Well, because that's entirely consistent. The states have, under the 10th Amendment, the right to pass any law they like. Also, federal officials at the federal level have the right to also put forth a constitutional amendment. One thing that we do know on marriage, this issue will ultimately end up in the courts, in the Supreme Court. I do not believe that judges should be legislating from the bench. As President of the United States, I would not appoint judges who are activists who want to legislate from the bench. Under the federal government, again, federal representatives can put forward a federal constitutional amendment because ultimately, with states having various laws, the federal government will most likely.
My point is this. Do you want, say it's a state issue and the state should be able to decide, or would you like to see a constitutional amendment so that it's banned everywhere?
It is both. It is a state issue and it's a federal issue. It's important for your viewers to know that federal law will trump state law on this issue. And it's also, this is why it's important.
And you would like federal law to trump state law.
This is why it's so important, because President Obama has come out and said he will not uphold the law of the land, which is the Defense of Marriage Act. The Congress passed the Defense of Marriage Act, and Bill Clinton signed it into law to make sure that if a state like New York passed a definition of marriage other than one man, one woman, that other states wouldn't be forced to recognize New York's law.
But just real quickly.
And President Obama has said,
Congresswoman, if I might just ask,
let me just finish this. In opposition to what he is supposed to do, he is charged with executing our laws, whether he likes them or not. That's why this is so crucial. That's why I think you may see, again, a rise at the federal government level for a call for the federal constitutional amendment, because people want to make sure that this definition of marriage remains secure, because after all, the family is the fundamental unit of government.
So, just briefly, you would support a constitutional amendment that would overturn the New York state law?
Yes, I would. I would. That is not inconsistent, because the states have the right under the 10th Amendment to do what they'd like to do, but the federal government also has the right to pass a federal constitutional amendment. It's a high hurdle. As you know, we only have 27 amendments to the federal Constitution. It's very difficult, but certainly it will either go to the courts or the people's representatives at the federal level.